Well, hello there. It's another day. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I am Bill Knight. Happy, what is it, Wednesday? Oh, by the way,
What?
tomorrow is a big day because it is the darkest day of the year. I think it's tomorrow, the 20th, right?
Really?
Which means the days actually after tomorrow will slowly start getting...
I thought that was in December. I thought that was December 21st.
I think it's November.
Yeah.
The darkest day.
The darkest day. Well, listen, I'm not going to get into a debate, but I mean, I thought it was December. I mean, I could be wrong. I've been wrong once.
Well, we'll split the difference. You know, it's 10 days from now then, you know, but I don't know.
Well,
or 15 days from now.
Well, you want to negotiate the darkest day.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
No. What is the dark? No, I was just making because I looked it up last night. When's the longest day? Because then that means and it's
the longest day was a movie. But anyway, that's beside.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
That's true.
I'm confused now.
I am too. Good night.
Okay, so we'll talk to you later.
Hey,
well,
listen.
If you listen to the news, there's a lot to be confused.
Oh man, they passed the Epstein bill. You know, finally they're going to release. And I always think, Bill, people were saying, "Well, Trump didn't want to release it." I think that he did that intentionally. I think he wanted to get the Democrats to push him to release it. And it was like, you heard the expression, be careful for what you wish for.
He baited him.
Yep. And so, actually, if you were watching television yesterday, you would have heard Chuck Chuckles Schumer say this.
I ask unanimous consent that when the Senate receives H.R. 4405, the Epstein Files Transparency Act from the House, the Senate proceed to its immediate consideration. The bill be considered, read 3 times, and passed with no intervening action or debate, and the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Is there an objection? Without objection, so ordered. Without objection, so ordered.
The Senate has now passed the Epstein bill as soon as it comes over from the House.
And that was that. And now it's sitting on the president's desk. They say he'll sign it this morning. So,
yeah, you know what? I'm still waiting for a rogue judge to come out there and block it because, it could be a Democrat judge. Then that points a finger at them. But it could be a Bush appointee. It could be a Trump appointee that he didn't know because he even said in his first term, if somebody recommended somebody and they came highly recommended, he had to take their word for it. And then he found out, well, that wasn't a smart choice. And he admitted that. And so I'm still waiting for that shoe to fall.
Well, we're going to see, I guess, who was visiting Epstein Island. I would imagine there are a lot of people lawyering up right now, I would think.
Well, yeah, I would think so. But, the simple fact is, Epstein kept records on everything, like, he has a Coke machine there. And, hi, this is Billy Bob from Pepsi Cola. Yeah, I need to. Sure. Okay. And Epstein or whoever kept the books there would write down Billy Bob Pepsi.
It's
Epstein Island. Yeah.
Yeah, we call it Epstein Island. You know what they called it?
Gilligan's Island? I don't know.
No, they called it Orgy Island.
Orgy Island. Well, that's a little more direct, I mean,
it's true.
I mean, that's like calling hell Sunshine City, and they're going, no, it's hell.
That's true. So the people on the left who were fighting to get this released are now celebrating, but I don't think I think that you're going to find that most of the people who visited the island were Democrats, were people from the left. Do you know that they say that Hakeem Jeffries, his campaign was asking, soliciting donations from Epstein? There was a relationship between Jeffries and Epstein. Little things you learn.
I believe it. I believe that that's a possibility. But when that he was a mover, a shaker back in the days, and probably a lot of people didn't know exactly who or what he was, and then they go, oh, yeah, I hear it's a hell of a time out in Orgy Island or Epstein Island, whatever it was called. And yeah, sure, I'm part of the in crowd, man. I'm going to go out there and be with all the elite and the weirdos and whatever you want to call them. And then you get there and go, oh, once you're there, you either partake or you stand in the background and sip your brandy at the bar going, when's the flight out of here?
Yeah. The thing is, though, I'm sure before you travel there that it's not Disney World you're going to. You're going to I don't know, a pit of vipers. I mean, you're going to go to a place that the selling point is that it's a sexual fantasy dream come true. It's whatever you want, you'll find it at Orgy Island.
Yeah, well, you know what, and that's true. But when was his claim to fame? What decade?
Epstein? Well,
Yeah.
I think mostly in the 80s. Well, I guess say 90s.
Well,
90s.
80s and
Maybe
90s.
it was the 2000s. I take that back. It was Clinton was already president, so it probably was 2000 to 2010. I take that back. That was probably
Clinton came in the 90s, so, but you know what? He probably formulated what he was doing or was put in that position to do what he did.
Yeah.
Because, in the 80s, it was a decade of Fantasy Island, anything you want. And that's probably what where they got the idea from. Hey, fantasy, yeah, okay, Orgy Island, yeah.
A little prediction, just something I was thinking about. Mark my words. When they go through the files, the Epstein files, and the media they'll go through them like with a fine-tooth comb. They'll have groups of people take different batches and they'll comb every single word to see whether they can find the word Trump. And when they find out that he had nothing to do with Epstein Island, this story is going to drop like a hot potato. It's going to just fade away. Mark my words. They'll be on to something new.
Well, especially if it goes after the Clintons, they'll say, we've had enough, drop it. Take your little fodder about Trump and keep throwing that out there. But there's nothing here. Move on. Next made up lie.
See,
and that's what they're going to do.
They try to tell us, Bill, that they're doing it for the women, the victims. No, they're doing it to get Trump. That's all. That if they wanted to do this for the victims, they would have released these files the first year Biden was president.
Well, there were young boys that were trafficked out there too, to women and men. So, there's kind of unfair justice going on here.
Yeah, well, this guy was a pervert. What I don't understand, and maybe people can explain it to me, because this guy Epstein, he was a high school teacher.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have billions of dollars. All of a sudden, this guy,
he got money.
Yeah, and people say, "Well, where did he get the money?" I haven't got a clue. They say, "Well, he was an investor, a financier." No. Somebody had to give this guy seed money. Somebody had to give him a start, and a lot of people speculate he was a double agent for the Mossad and for the CIA, and they did it. They backed him.
Yeah, probably so. But they expanded that business a little bit. Yeah, they were doing that, but then they had a money machine there.
Yeah.
Well, Hollywood is full. Well, Hollywood has been ripe with espionage too. In Hollywood, but there have been, from the Black Dahlia to all the way up, there have been, and even before that, there have been sexual scandal after scandal after scandal.
Oh,
and there was scandal after scandal. I mean, I'm trying to think of the guy
Fatty
now.
Arbuckle, back in the 20s, a big silent screen star was involved in a sex scandal back in the early 20s. You're right.
What was it? What was it? The McCarthy hearings or whatnot?
That was in the 50s. That was the communist scare. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? And that's funny because, I know we're bouncing all over the place, but there's so many stories out there right now. Like you got Mandani, he's a communist, and he's now the mayor of New York. You got a young lady by the name of Chu or something like that. And she is out in Los Angeles going, and she's a Marxist Democrat socialist. She's going, well, if he's in, I think Mandani was a test balloon, and I think that they're trying to take over the major port cities, and they're surrounding the camp. This has been an orchestrated attempt. And it hasn't been going on for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. This has been a long time in the making.
Somebody's putting a lot of money behind these people. They don't just get a footing with nothing. It's not just a dream that gets them, started. It's money that gets them started. So somebody is putting money behind these people, and I have some speculation, but see, there are a lot of people who have money who think the main thing is to bring our country down, and the way to do that is through upheaval. Constantly keep the country in turmoil. Getting back to Epstein, if they cared about victims and they cared about people who were committing crimes, they would look to Bill Clinton. He visited the island 26 times. There's a picture in Epstein's mansion in New York of Bill Clinton, a big picture, hanging on the wall as you come in type picture, of Bill Clinton in a blue dress, in a chair, in a high-back chair. Go ahead.
Remember the old song, Devil with a Blue Dress On? There you go.
Yes, that's true. I didn't think of that. That's true. They should play that when you walk in. Open the door, you hear the music, and you see the picture. It would work.
It works perfectly.
Yeah. But apparently Hillary visited the island, too. These people, by the way, Bill and Hillary, they were subpoenaed in front of Congress, in front of the Oversight Committee on Epstein, and they are refusing to comply with the subpoena. They're just ignoring it. We're not doing it. Think about that. If Bill Knight or Jim Harrington said, "No, I was subpoenaed by Congress, but I'm not going," they would have police at my door. You're going. Right. You were subpoenaed, sir. You haven't got an option. You're going to speak in front of Congress. So, but now it'll be interesting to see, now that the files are out there, what will Bill Clinton do? Will he just shut up, not say a word, let it go away?
No, I think because he's got a very conniving wife that knows how to do this stuff going way back to the Nixon years. There's going to be a distraction. Something's going to blow up. Something's going to happen. Something that will, because America, consider that we're a nest of crows, and we're all focused on this shiny object over there. And here's Hillary over here dangling a shiny silver watch reflecting in the sun. We'd all turn our heads to that while they clear up this mess over here or make it go away.
It's a very good point. You think she's a master manipulator?
Absolutely, I do, because she has been, over her head in dung for her life, but she knows how to climb out and come out sparkly clean, or at least appear to be.
Yeah. Well, they do have. I don't know. I was going to say I would imagine they're having sleepless nights, but I don't think so. I think they're used to it.
Devils don't sleep. Yeah.
Yes, that's true. That's a good point. You have a bunch of those things going for you today. I tell you.
I don't know why.
So the other interesting story, by the way, was this amazes me. This to me is insurrection. A bunch of Democratic legislators. Did you hear about this?
Well, there's a couple of stories. Texas or where?
They're encouraging military people and intelligence people to sabotage the Trump administration. I want you to hear this. This is the video a bunch of senators put out yesterday. Video: Slotkin, Kelly, DeLizio, Gulander, Houlihan, and Crow. Okay, these I guess are senators who got in front of a camera and said this.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris Deluzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
who take risks each day
To keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals.
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath.
To protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
But from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
you must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law.
Or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
In the Army,
Our Navy,
The Air Force.
your vigilance is critical
and know that we have your back.
because now, more than ever,
The American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws.
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Okay, I got to tell you, folks. Okay,
That's
to me-
insurrection.
that's insurrection. That's sedition. That is. People say, "Well, I was a captain in the Navy. I was an intelligence officer." Robert E. Lee was a colonel in the U.S. Army before he became an opposition, an enemy, a traitor, essentially. I mean, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about how he's beloved by a lot of people in the South because they still do. I mean, they think of him. He was a Southerner before he was a U.S. citizen. He thought of himself as he said to Lincoln, "I will not fight against my country." His country was Virginia, not the United States. What these people are telling you to do, if you're in the military, is to, by yourself, decide, okay, that's not a legal order, so I'm not going to abide by it. You can't do that in the military. You cannot do it. In the Navy, they call it mutiny.
Yeah. Look, these clowns, they're Democrat. It's political order, but when you're in the military, you earn rank. You're commissioned to do something. But once you leave the military, you're retired, you carry that rank with you, but you do not carry the commission to command unless you're recommissioned to come back in and command. So by them saying, legally, you don't have to take an order that you know is illegal. That's true. But legally, you cannot take an order from them because anything that they are telling you to do is illegal.
Yeah, well, that's true. These are just citizens telling you to break your military oath. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're asking you to do something illegal for their political gain and purpose. And that, is,
And Bill,
that is pure insurrection.
what are they talking about with regard to illegal orders? Think about it for a second. Are they talking about going to Chicago and trying to help the police squell insurrections there, and also to maybe pick up some illegals? Is that what they're telling you?
I think it's a lot of things because focus on the illegals. They try to change the narratives. The Democrats have changed the narrative. They're not illegal aliens. They're undocumented citizens. Where the hell does that come from?
Yeah.
Undocumented citizens. No, you're either here on an H-1B visa, so you're here legally.
Yeah.
You've chosen to come to the United States and you have a visa to be here to become an American citizen. And you go through the steps and procedures and you become an American citizen. There are people that are here that have just gotten here that have done everything the legal and right way, and they're happy. And you know what? They're pissed about these a-holes that are coming across going, you speak my language. I don't speak your language. You got to learn my language and give me my bennies. I want my benefits.
Yeah.
And you got a man, Danny, that'll sit there and go, oh, you get a free house. You get free food, and
yeah, getting back to these senators. I mean, is that not insurrection that they're? I mean, are they? To me, they're breaking the law by doing this.
It is insurrection.
They're telling you to violate the law. They should be arrested. We have bent. This is the 21st century. We don't have rock solid rules anymore. There was a time when if you did something in this country, you broke a law, there was a consequence, and you knew it. But now it's like, well, I don't know. We really can't do anything. It's it's Hillary Clinton. What can we do there? Well, you could arrest her. You could arrest these people for being insurrectionists.
Well, what you could do is because they put their valor out there and they put their valor in question. So now I don't have anything to throw around. All I can do is request somebody that is still a ranking member in the military to say, you know what? These people need to be brought up on charges. And if they're found guilty, they lose all rank and status of what they had.
Yep.
Because it is insurrection. It is illegal. So they need to be held accountable because they won an elected office. Has nothing to do with their military background. If anything, they use that valor as a way to pry open the hatch and get in. And again, that's
Bill, think of how bold that what they did is. I mean, they literally flipped the country a middle finger. Now they'll tell you, no, we're being patriotic. No, you're being mutinous. You are being criminal with what you're doing. You're essentially saying to the United States president, up yours, sir. We don't have to listen to you. Now, mind you, these same people would tell you that you would have had to listen to Joe Biden. But like and share the show. And also, if you want to contact us, it's mail@jimandbill.com. We'll be right back.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com. Okay, getting back to the senators and the congresspeople who decided to to suggest that you can break the rules. It's okay. If you don't think it's a good rule, if you think it's illegal, you have permission to break the rules because that's what we're really all about here. No. These aren't the way the systems were designed. We have a military that is set up, and I love it when you see guys like what's his name from I'll think of his name, Kelly from Arizona. He says, I was a captain in the Navy. You should know better, sir. You should know better. If you were a captain in the Navy, you didn't allow your sailors to be insubordinate to you. I guarantee you didn't allow a junior officer to say, well, sir, I'm not going to do that because I think that's an illegal order. You'd put him in the brig. But now you're turning around as a senator and saying to the same people you used to work with in the military, if you don't think it's a good idea, well, feel free to break the rules. Feel free not to do it.
Well, we can make it a little simpler for people. You're the manager of a restaurant, a really nice restaurant, and you got a dishwasher that comes in, and the dishwasher goes, I've done better things than this, and the guy that's running this thing, yeah, you, sir, you're a clown. I'm a dishwasher. I should know this. If I were that manager, I'd sit there and say, well, I'm glad you brought it to my attention. By the way, see that door over there? Don't let it hit you on the derriere on your way out because you are gone, sir.
Yeah.
And, this, and I say it that way because you got to understand what these clowns are doing. But I think it's an effort that is actually a Democrat Party effort because I've seen things in reporting, seen things in politicians, and they're all saying we've got to do this narrative and stick to it. Jon Stewart was on CNN with, what was it?
Christian Amanpour.
Yeah, and they were talking about Trump as saying that, you know what? We just got to keep doing this bias that we have. So they think that because I guess they believe with it. They're on a mission.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, I'm sorry, But that was an admission right there. And Trump is calling for ABC's license to be pulled. And I would say so. The fact that they allowed that and to do that, that's not reporting the news. All of a sudden, that's gotten into social opinion. There needs to be, which is an editorial, where you used to have to sit there and you do equal and free time. And in that, they're not doing that. They're saying, this is what we want. It's
Scott Jennings from CNN had an opinion about these senators and representatives, and here's what he said.
How is the president pitting the military against American citizens? I don't know what they mean by that. A. B. What are the illegal orders? What are they talking about? It's like they live in an alternate reality. They live in a movie. They live in a TV show where something they claim is happening is not actually happening in reality. I don't know what illegal activity they're talking about, but I do know what illegal activity they're recommending. And they're trying to get people in the chain of command to disobey the commander in chief, which would be a terrible idea.
But they're saying don't obey legal orders, which is not
what orders.
I don't know, but I didn't hear them advocate breaking the law.
Well, I mean, I think they're trying to influence members of the military to start to determine all orders are illegal orders just because they don't like Donald Trump. That's the way I took it. I mean, what are they trying to do? Foment insurrection in the ranks of the military? I mean, what are they doing?
They're saying if you're being asked to do something illegal, you can come forward.
What is it?
I don't know. But
one example?
I'd like to hear an example, but I don't understand why people are so upset by this.
So Democrat.
They're not advocating anything illegal. I'm not trying to fight with you. I'm just truly mystified because I've heard from like 20 people about this.
This goes to the core argument that Democrats have made for 10 years about Donald Trump. They've never gotten over it. He is the legitimately elected president of the United States. He was in 2016. He was in 2024. He is presently the legitimate commander in chief. But you have this group of Democrats who have tried to treat him like an illegitimate president every step of the way for the last decade. This is the latest installment in this fantasy that Donald Trump isn't actually supposed to be able to act as the president or the commander in chief or whatever. And so, I mean, to me, I think this is going to backfire on them. I think this is fan service for the fever swamps of the left. But to the average American, it's going to sound crazy.
The guy who was challenging Jennings was Mark Halperin, who's a pretty smart guy, but he obviously has never been in the military. What he doesn't really understand is you lose certain rights when you join the military. I guarantee you this. I swore that oath myself. You become property. You don't have that free-thinking brain that you had when you were a citizen. When they say jump, all you have to do is jump, or maybe ask how high. That's it. Nothing more. You don't have the right to say, well, I don't know. I don't really feel like jumping. Should I really jump? Is it a smart move to jump right there? Do you know when they tell you to storm a machine gun? They don't say
storm it.
Yeah, they don't say we got to storm that machine gun. You may say, well, that's a stupid move. We can go around to the left and get it that way. No, you haven't got the option. Your superior officer is saying, storm the machine gun. You have one order.
In his judgment,
yes,
that was the order to give.
Yes.
This guy, he's sitting there, he's going, well, I've talked to about 20 people. Really? Give me their names. Give me 5 names that you've talked to that I can validate your statement to justify this. You're saying, well, when they give orders against the law, okay, what law? Well, against the law. What law are you referring to? Against the law. Do you even know the frickin' law? Do you know all the laws?
Yeah.
You don't know all the laws, and nobody does. As a matter of fact, look, I got a son that wanted to do one thing that's, a statey right now. And I won't say where, but either way, when they go to the academy, there are tens of thousands of laws, if not hundreds of thousands of laws. There are so many laws in the book. You could never memorize all the laws. They have maybe a little cheat sheet. These are the basic laws that apply. But now they can stack in things. But do you know the law that Trump is breaking, or is it a narrative that you're interpreting that, well, I don't agree with that political stance, so that's against the law? You're making your own laws up. And that's ridiculous.
You're absolutely correct. You haven't got the option in the military to think for yourself. And by the way, every order that they come out with, every order probably has an option. Every order somebody could probably say, well, that's not legal. I mean, let me ask you a question. If you fire on an enemy to kill them, technically you may say, well, I can't do that because that's killing a person. That's illegal. I can't do that. No, you're being told to shoot. You shoot at the enemy. That's how it works. The military, you lose certain options when you become a member of the military. These people should know this, but see, they get into politics, folks, and people change in politics. It becomes a game. And right now, Bill, this is a distraction, another Democratic distraction. Go ahead.
Well, one of the things that that's going on, we talked about Mandani, we talked about Los Angeles, the Mandani effect of the communist socialist or the democratic socialist, and they have one Marxist in and a couple of more that are running, but it's a narrative and agenda of this party. But they're sitting there going, "Don't break the law for your candidate. We'll protect you." I damn well assure you that if you look at socialist or communist countries, they take a different stance once they're in. Oh, you do not. Yeah, you can break their laws to get us in. But once we're in, you will obey our law. Even if you don't know what it is, and we say you broke a law,
absolutely,
you disobeyed it.
Absolutely.
So, I mean,
no,
when the devil hands you a piece of candy, trust me, there is a catch to it.
Yeah.
And your teeth are going to rot out, and he's going to steal your soul, and you're going to go, why the hell did I do that?
The other thing is this. If you are a military member and you're listening to that video, ask yourself, if you disobey an order because you think it's unjust or illegal, are those people going to come to your aid? Are any of those people on that video going to race to your side to help you out when you are being hauled off to the brig, when you are stripped of your rank, when you are disgraced and maybe discharged? Are they going to care? No. You will have been a useful pawn. Do your job in the military. Do what they tell you to do. If the president says we have to do something, he's done a lot of thinking about it, and 70 million people have said, we believe in this guy, follow his orders. You understand the country is behind you. The country is behind you. When you follow through on an order issued by this man, you are essentially part of him. You're his right arm. You're his strong right arm. And if you do something in his name because he gave you an order, there's a reason for it. We don't all have to know it. By the way, that's another thing. When they issue an order, sometimes we haven't got all the facts, all the details as to why an order has been issued. Do you know? I mean, if they say, okay, we want you to do X, well, they don't sit down with you and say, here's why we're going to go, and do that. We just tell you, go do it, And I think that these people are trying to ferment discord in our country, these senators and representatives. And by the way, it's time that there are examples being made of people doing stuff like that. If you or I did something like that, if we called for insurrection, they'd probably arrest us. We give the left so much room. Think of what they did to the right when Biden was in office. They put Steve Bannon in jail. They put Peter, what's his name? I can't, the other guy, I'll think of it later on. My wife is probably listening and saying, Peter so-and-so. They put people in jail. They made examples of people when they had power, but when the right is in power, we give everybody a lot of slack. That has got to stop. We have got to prove that we have we are a country with consequences. You break the law, and you go to jail, no matter what side you're on. I could go on and on.
Absolutely.
You know, I could go on and on.
Navarro, was that the guy you were
Peter
thinking
Navarro. Thank you, Bill.
I was waiting for a break to throw in that name.
My wife is listening right now, and she's applauding you. She's saying, thank you, Bill. Yeah, Peter Navarro.
Yeah. I like German chocolate cake when I come over, by the way. Thank you.
You're so coy. You're amazing. Anyway, so it'll be interesting to see whether this video that they put together becomes an issue. It should become an issue, because I think if nothing is made of this video, there'll be more like it. You know, others will say, yeah, it's okay to break the rules. You know, because, and I think you made a terrific point. You know, if you are a socialist and you're saying break the rules, you know, it's fine to break them until the socialists get in power. And then they turn around and say, you better not break our rules. No.
And have you noticed, too, that when we have somebody that has obviously, you know, well, visually broken laws and broken rules, and we got them to where they have to answer for their crimes, at least give an answer for what they did so we can determine that we're right or wrong, because justice has to have its day in court. You know, justice gets held up to where, oh, I'm sorry, your time has run out. You know, there's always a stall, a delay, something. Well, you know, the judge doesn't have his secretary hired yet, and until we do so, well, we can't go through with the court. But, you know, we'll get it done before the time expires, and then the time expires. So sad, too bad.
You know, speaking of time running out, I like that. This is such a smooth segue. You see where Senator Cory Booker has said that Chuck Chuckles Schumer
got to go.
Yeah, he's got to go. Yeah, he's done a great job, but I mean, he's an old guy, and you see that pasture over there? We'd like to put you out in that pasture, Mr. Schumer.
Oh, they're gonna butcher him.
They really. That's a good point. They're not going to put him out the pasture. They're going to cut him up into little pieces.
They're going to slaughter that guy.
Yeah. Cory Booker said this. Listen.
Generation, Nancy Pelosi's generation, John Lewis's generation, they have so much to be proud of. It is time, though, for new leadership. The other generations, X, Millennials, Z, it's time for us to step up. The stage is waiting for us to lead.
We have dynamic, young, new leaders.
Who are some of the top
Chris
names?
Murphy is a top leader. Cory Booker is a dynamic leader. Brian Schatz is a dynamic leader. I mean, Elizabeth Warren, someone whose ideology I appreciate. There are a lot of great talent. And really, is Chuck Schumer, when you think about it, just from a common sense test, do you think Democrats around the country think that Chuck Schumer should be the face of the future of the Democratic Party? Of course not. We need to be more independent and truth-telling in this country, and bold, and not rest on niceties.
Oh, BS. You know, I love Cory Booker said the stage is waiting for us. Yes, the stage is waiting for you. Get on it and leave town, Cory Booker. I mean, he actually thinks he is... these guys have such a big impression of themselves.
Well, somebody ought to take that and time capsule that speech, because let's just say, and things are generational, you know, and this is my turn. And I can remember thinking that too when, you know, I got into the radio career, but there were people that weren't moving up. They're going, oh, I'm happy right where I am.
Yeah.
So you're not making space for me to climb that ladder because you're hogging it all. And you had a big, you know, post-war generation, the baby boomers. It was a big generation, and you know they're a part of that. They've held on to everything way past their time, and I say that, you know, with a little trepidation because
Nancy Pelosi was what, 84, 85? Yeah.
I mean, if she has something, I'm not saying that she doesn't, but she was singing to the choir of the old. Now, I don't care if somebody is healthy and 80 years old. If they're singing to me, then I'm going to listen to them. I don't care if it's a 25-year, anybody that's 18, no offense, but it's been proven that men don't mature until they're after 25 to 27, women right around 24, 25. So we're giving, you know, with the right to vote and everything, we're giving a lot of credence there to you, a lot of responsibility that you really aren't reasonable about everything, and that's why they tend to be a little bit more liberal and socialistic. As they get older, they get a little bit more central, conservative, mainstream in their thoughts, because they've grown up and all of a sudden they got bills to pay. They got a car payment to make. They got a rent or a house payment to make. You got utilities, everything that goes on. You got insurance. You got to put groceries on the table. Oh, you got a family? Okay. Now you got more going on. And all of a sudden, a lot of times responsibilities in life make you a conservative, because wait a minute, I get it.
Yeah,
now
takes us a while, and by the way, we all do it. I mean, people may say, "Well, Jim, you're conservative." Well, when I was young, I was I wasn't thinking. I was a Democrat.
You were thinking with a string, an emotional string.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, now it's down to the core of you.
I was more interested in radio when I was younger, and my party affiliation was because my dad was, and my mom was. So I'll be,
Makes sense. You trust your parents, and and in their time, they were doing the right thing for them.
Yes. And by the way, the Democratic Party, when they were young, was more like conservatives right now. I mean, it was a whole different setup back then. Hey, look, let's pause for the cause. Like and share the show if you would. We really need the word of mouth. Believe it or not, word of mouth means a lot, even now, even as the world we live in with technology and stuff. When you tell your friends, hey, you got to hear these guys. They're every day they talk about the news and have their opinion. It's kind of fun to listen to. We would really appreciate it. Also, if you want to contact us, it's mail@jimandbill.com.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com. You see where a federal judge in, where was it? I think it was in,
Texas?
I think it was Fort Worth. He told certain public schools that they have to remove the Ten Commandment displays by December 1st. Every year they do this. Every year there's a judge somewhere that issues ridiculous orders like that. When I was a kid, they had Ten Commandment images in the public schools. No one cared, but it's like they have to make a point. They have to remove them. They have to make an issue out of it, it's sad. But they'll put, by the way, if you have a Christmas display up in a public building, well, they'll also put a satanic display up now in certain districts, certain places.
Well, there seems to be a fight on two different levels. One is that of Christianity and faith. You've got that going on. There's a court case in Maine that's going on. A young lady, middle-aged lady now, I got a teenager, but, the lady had out-of-marriage relationships, okay? And that happens. I'm not getting into that. But the guy's from California and hates the church, basically. I'm not saying he's a Satanist, but, and if you're a Satanist, then you do believe there is a God. You just don't like God. That's
that's a good point.
Just so you understand, you just acknowledge that God is real and the Christian faith is real. Just keep that in mind. Now, if you're a person that goes, I believe that we all came from the abyss in the ocean, from a foreign asteroid. Okay, that's your belief, but that's your belief. But either way, this guy goes, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in this. I don't believe in that, because he has rights. They actually went to court, and the lady, during, her custodial, time with her daughter, cannot let her read the Bible.
Unbelievable.
Cannot take her to church. They actually, in the court case,
this is a judge's ruling, right? This is a judge's
ruling, and they had a case where the guy flew in a psychologist from California. I don't have the notes in front of me, but sat there and said, well, anybody that believes in the Bible and this and that, I'm trying to see if I have any kind of notes on
Bill,
it. But
Bill, what gets me about that is, if the atheist, when he has the child, he has the child by expressly not being religious, he is essentially, it's like the 180 of reading the Bible. He has a chance to say to his child, hey, look at me. I don't believe in God, and, you can live a life like mine. Look at me as an example. I don't believe. What I'm saying is that he is allowed to be what he wants to be as a parent when he has the child, but when the woman, the mother, has the child and wants to read the Bible and talk about God and religion, all of a sudden the court steps in and says, well, no, you can't do that. You have too much influence on your child. They're not acknowledging the influence that the father has on the child by not being religious. Do you know?
Yeah. It's crazy. I'm looking at the story now to see what this psychologist had to say, because he really laid a number on it, attaching, I guess, Matt Braden is even the court's custody order to insist that Emily cannot read the Bible or teach Ava anything about Christian faith. But anyway, this psychologist went on to say, yeah, if you read the Bible, you believe in this, or you believe in the Constitution, essentially, it's fake and you're an idiot, is wow. what they're saying. But you've got that going on. You've got what's going on in Texas. So an attack, there is an attack on the Constitution. There's an attack on the Ten Commandments.
Do you get the impression the judiciary is a full court press right now to assert a power that they really don't have? They really shouldn't have. Mm-hmm. You see where a California judge released 2 accused murderers? Without a bail. Go ahead. You can go. Yeah. They haven't been tried yet or convicted, but this judge determined, I don't see any problem. Go let them go. Just be here for the trial.
Yeah, I don't have the story in front. I know the story you're talking about, the judge, and I don't like to put it this way, but if you look at the Hector, whatever his last name is.
Yeah, Ramon.
Ramon. So you kind of get an idea of his nationality or origin.
Yeah.
And you look at the names of the 2 people, and I'm like going, is this,
racial? Yeah.
Without saying it, yeah.
Yeah. Vicente Aguilera Chavez.
Aguilera, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a reasonable question to ask. Is this judge protecting a like-minded spirit, let's say,
Well, how many times have there been, you want to say undocumented citizens. Okay, if they're an undocumented citizen, that keep that in mind. That means that, well, then they are bound by the laws of this land when they commit murder. They're probably better off being an illegal alien, because at least we'll deport them and send them back to their own country where they'll let them go free on the streets. Maybe not. I don't know.
Bill, what's interesting is they talk about this story because it's in San Francisco, but I would point out to anybody that if you look at New York, how many times have a transit police officer been mugged or beat up or nearly killed doing their job in the subways, and then they arrest the perpetrators, they bring them in, they book them, and then they release them. Mm-hmm. Then they let them go. They tried to kill a transit cop. I know the story. It happened last year. They tried to kill a transit cop, and they arrested him, brought him in, booked him, and then said, "Okay, come back for your court date." And it's mind-boggling, and you wonder, how do these people become like judges or magistrates? Speaking of that, there was an article yesterday. I don't think I have it in my stack of stuff this morning, but James Comey was. He's been, yeah, and some judge has said, "Oh, you may have messed up the details here, and you may have the entire Comey indictment case in jeopardy because you didn't follow all the rules." Well, I was listening to Newsmax last night, and they were talking about it with an expert, and the expert said, "Hey, that's okay. First of all, the judge was a magistrate judge, not a federal judge, and the magistrate judge, they're like the AAA. They're not the major leagues. and they're not the great thinkers in the judiciary. But he put this ruling out because he wanted the press. But he said odds are that the Comey case that we see right now that's rummaging around, it's going to be tried in the Washington, D.C. area with a Biden judge and a tainted jury pool. It's like the fix is in. He's not gonna go to jail, because he's going to be found innocent in D.C. That's probably going to happen. Joe DeGenova said this. He was on last night on Newsmax. And but the big deal is this: he's been included with the indictments to the case they're putting together in Florida. Comey's
and there is no statute of limitations.
That's exactly right, Bill. And the guy said that's the one that's going to drop the hammer on Comey. It's not going to be the one in D.C. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a historical, and I'm trying to think of the guy's name. The guy that was all over the country. There was a movie about him, and that he would rape and kill women all over the place, and he was an attorney himself. And
I know he's talking about Ted Bundy.
Bundy, yes. Yeah. And then he went to Florida testing, and he found out, oh boy, did I make a boo-boo, because the statute of limitations were out the frickin' window, and he got to. Yeah, well, the case was electrifying. I understand.
Yeah, well, they had the death penalty in Florida.
Yeah.
What a big mistake that was. He should have gotten caught someplace like Massachusetts. But
or Maine, where they let you go free. Yeah, Maine. Yeah, that story in Maine. Yeah, they're saying that anybody that goes to church, reads the Bible, or believes in the Constitution is a cult person.
Unbelievable. The other thing I wanted to point out today, speaking of religion, the conference and Catholic bishops met, I think, down in Texas somewhere, and they came out with a statement saying that essentially, and I'm paraphrasing, I haven't got it in front of me, saying that we should be more welcoming to our brothers and sisters from south of the border who come into our country, and we should make them feel warm and comfy, and I'm a practicing Catholic. I don't mind telling you that, but it's true. And I take offense at this statement, and I'll tell you why. These same bishops have never put out a statement about abortion. They've never said that abortion is wrong and that we stand by people who are pro-life. They don't do that because that's too controversial, and they may get their fanny in a slingshot because they're cowards, all right? When people say to me, Catholicism, I don't know, the guy in Rome, the guy in Rome is just a guy. The Pope in Rome is just a guy. Bishops in your diocese, they're just guys, literally, and they're just people, and they shouldn't be bowed to and given a deference that they don't earn. There are some great cardinals, great bishops, and then there are some idiots. All right, there are some clowns who are in the position. There are some great popes, and there are some great people in Rome. But then there are some clowns and some bad guys, too, by the way, some bad, evil guys. There were bad popes. There were popes who had families back in the 1500s and 1600s, the Borgias and people like that. They're just people. And I tell people who talk religion, I say, we shouldn't get all caught up in clergy. I loved Billy Graham. I think Billy Graham was a wonderful, godly man. I think Franklin Graham is too. And people may say, well, you're Catholic. I mean, I don't care. He's talking about loving Jesus. What can possibly be controversial about that? Nothing. All right? Mm-hmm. There was a time, by the way, when I was a kid when they had they had Bishop Fulton J. Sheen on TV. You probably remember this. Maybe you haven't.
Right.
Bishop Sheen was the counter to Billy Graham. The Catholics figured, we have to have somebody who's articulate, who is charismatic, who can be on television and sell Catholicism, as opposed to Billy Graham, who's selling a more secular religion. Christianity. And, people got through that. People realized, hey, Billy Graham's, he's terrific. He's. I went to a crusade that he did back in the 90s in Pittsburgh, and it was amazing. It was an amazing event. There were tens of thousands of people there, all in love with what he had to say. He was magnificent. So when I hear these clowns, these bishops talking about dabbling their toes in politics, when I hear this Pope Leo, who when he's asked about, well, what are you? Are you an American or are you a Peruvian? I think he was a bishop in Peru for 22 years. He says, well, I'm both. No, you idiot. You're an American. You were born in the USA. You were born in Chicago. You were born in Chicago. You may have spent some of your time in Peru, and you may love the people of Peru, but no matter what, when push comes to shove, remember your roots. But this is how some people are. So I don't mean to sound sacrilegious. I don't mean to sound like I'm being anti-Catholic or anything like that. But I do think these bishops were very wrong, and I would love to see them be as strong about, pro-life issues. They're quiet. By the way, go into many of these churches and listen for statements about, how wrong it is to support pro-abortion stance. You'll never hear it from the pulpit. Very rarely. They're quiet as church mice. They just keep it to themselves. That would be the place that you would think that they would stand up and say, here's what we believe in as Catholics or as Episcopalians or as Lutherans or as Baptists. This is our faith. By the way, Baptists and people like that, they're much more definitive about their beliefs. They'll tell you how they believe. They'll tell you that they're pro-life, and I applaud them for that.
I was listening intently because I'm a Baptist.
Yes.
I was listening intently.
But it's true. Am I right, Bill?
I'm a Baptist. I'm going,
But am I right? A Baptist.
Yeah, it is true. I mean, yeah, you're at. No, we preach what we practice.
Yeah,
and that's it. I'm not going to say that it goes without, some fallacies. I used to sit there as a kid, question things because you're very observant as a kid. I grew up, started out in a Southern Baptist church in California. That's really a contradiction when you think about it. And there were things that I questioned.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine he was Mormon. And I guess my point, that I'll just shorten this up, is that each of the churches, not really the faith, but churches themselves, they have certain discretions that they allow, or indiscretions that they allow, that is, in favor of particular of them. I remember my friend that was Mormon. I drank a lot of Cokes and pop and things like that. Oh, we can't drink that. No, we can't have that. But they could have Pepsi Cola, because one of the biggest members of the church, who was one of the biggest donors of the church, also owned the Pepsi Cola plant in the San Joaquin Valley. And
that's practical.
So it's okay to, for the Mormons that couldn't drink fizzly drinks, well, you could drink that one. And I was like, okay. But I grew up in a Baptist church, and Southern Baptist, and, you're not allowed to dance, but you could go to the Mormon youth function and you could dance. So, there's these weird little indiscretions, idiosyncrasies that are put in there that I think are man-made, but the basic principles of the church, of the faith, is steadfast and ironclad. I'm sure that people smoke in the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
There were people in the Southern Baptist. When I was Conservative Baptist, no. If they did, nobody knew about it.
They'd be using a lot of sen. Yeah.
Why are you chewing that gum? You need some dentine here before you go into the chapel?
Yes. I think that I've used this analogy before, but I think a religion like telephones, you may have cell phone. I may have a wall phone or a princess phone or whatever. I'm dating myself with a print. I have a different type of phone, but we're all calling the same number. I mean, when all is said and done, we're trying to reach God.
Well, and I do have, some people look at church as a social group or club. So somebody goes, "Oh, I'm a religious person." In my estimation, well, that's great. That's great. You're a religious person. Do you believe in God? Are you a Christian? There's a difference.
Yeah.
Christianity and religious are two different things.
Yeah.
You can sit there and go, "I don't know if I believe in God, but I'm not an atheist." Well, you're secular. Do you believe in the devil? Do you not believe in the devil? Do you believe that if you believe in God, you believe there's a devil. If you believe in the devil, you believe there's a God. If you don't know what the heck it is you believe, then you need to sit down and do some soul searching and figure it out.
Literally. Hey, we've had an interesting conversation today, Bill. We've gone all over the place, but all good stuff.
Yes, we have.
Oh, by the way, you see where we talked about this yesterday. We had a big outage. Gateway Pundit, X, ChatGPT, Facebook, Truth Social, all went down yesterday morning. We tried to get show prep and couldn't do it.
Here's a question for you. We had this a few weeks ago, too, if you remember. There was a big outage, everything down. Is this a test of something
Bill, I think
warming us up for
what
something?
was it that went down? Was it Amazon Media Services that went down?
Yeah, all the main services, servers, they have, in a cloud. There was once upon a time, if you remember, AOL, and they used to have a messenger and everybody was on it. A friend of mine was doing a business that was, internet based before it was big, and they needed a lot of storage space and was on a plane with somebody from AOL and said, "Oh, we've got a big building that is like a couple of city blocks long. We have computers in there. We have more drive space than, some weird statement that they made." But he was going, "Well, what's it going to cost me?" Practically nothing. We're not making any money on it. We overbuilt. And that was then. That was back in the early 00s. Mm-hmm. So if you can imagine, now we are dependent on the internet. Everything's in the cloud. Put your stuff on the cloud. It's free for a year. And then when they have all your stuff, well, you need to retrieve all that. You're going to have to pay us. They hook you in because Our Lady of Perpetual Payments, they want you to pay them. Everything that you do now is a monthly payment. You get something for free, but then it's going to cost you a month.
This system that went down yesterday was Cloudflare, and they came out with a statement essentially saying
it's a big storage place.
Yeah, they came out and they said, well, we fixed it, and we didn't see a hack involved here. It was a coding issue on our server. But what experts say was there was a huge unknown spike of activity before the system went down. They're not telling you. The Cloudflare is not saying this. Because I guess they're supposed to be unhackable. You can't hack them. That's what their big selling point is, that their system is protected. But apparently, just before the system went down, experts say that there was some kind of spike in activity. So I don't know.
All your information, like your phone, wants you to upload to the cloud.
Right.
You have your medical records, probably on your phone in the hospital. Everything that you got, your financials, all your history, all detail about you, maybe things that you don't want people to know, it's stored. And it ends up in one central cloud location, at least for all Americans, all of us. And so if somebody wanted to know everything about us, every stinking detail, and with AI, they could sit there and find out about you. Yes, you right now, I'm talking to you. Everything about you can be found in a matter of, well, even in a split second. It knows exactly who you are, where you are, depending on how big your file is. It might take it 10 or 15 seconds if you're, been around for a while and have done a lot of things. But either way, everything that's there, that things you've forgotten about, maybe a measles shot, I don't know. It's all there.
Hey,
you really want everything out there?
One other thing, we talked about this before, the 3-eye atlas, that unknown object that's floating around the sun right now and coming back in our direction, but it's not coming directly at us, thank God, because it's the size of the island of Manhattan.
Well, that's nice.
They say that it will be within our range for viewing on December 19th. So, and they say that there are at least 12 separate jets coming from it. Now, I don't know how that works, but where I come from, if there's 12 engines moving it around, that means it's not natural. That's just me, but
well, maybe it's going to do a flyby and it'll have a digital Christmas message up there or a big tree on it. Yeah.
He's going to drop a gift in each and every one of our trees.
I don't have the story in front of me, but you remember a while back there was a Chinese crew in space that got stranded.
Yeah.
We had to go get them.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, I'm not sure if it's the same rocket that went up, but now there's another Chinese crew up there stranded.
Well, they asked Elon Musk to help get them down. I don't know if he's going to do it or not, but
the last time I guess he did.
Yeah, but I mean, I haven't heard anything more on the story. But now you're saying there's 2 crews up there stuck.
Oh, the story I read is that there's a crew up there again stuck, and I'm like going, I thought the first one was brought down. But either way, there's something weird to that story.
Yeah,
and China has done better in the past with their rockets, and all of a sudden they have problems. Maybe it's maybe it's their way of trying to get some people on board too.
Maybe they're trying to get rid of some bad eggs in the astronaut division. Yeah, we'll send you up. You're next on the mission. Oh, you can't get back? Well, that's too bad.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Lieutenant Numbskull, yes, you get to go on this flight. Oh, yes, you are purely qualified. Numbskull, get in that capsule.
Exactly.
All right.
Hey, listen, I think we're done for today. Have a great day, folks. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back tomorrow to do it again.
I'm glad I'm not related to Numbskull. But until next time, hasta la vista, baby. We're out of here.
Who are we? And why are we here? Will we be welcome or possibly feared? Do we unite and stand tall as a nation of one? Or split and divide, or be mocked and shunned? Are our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our beliefs? Are they red, white, and blue? The truth is out there, you just have to search. Settle for less, you'll be left in the lurch. No left-leaning lies, no socialist swill. It's straight talking truth from your friends Jim and Bill. Are our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our belief? Are they red, white, and blue? Are our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our beliefs? Are they red, white, and blue? Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com. All music the property of Jim and Bill. All rights reserved. This is CRN America.